Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something pretty wild.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you're probably at least somewhat familiar with the name Hunter Avallone.
Yeah, he's been all over the place online.
Right, and that's kind of what we're looking at today.
Exactly.
This whole idea of online identity
Hmm.
and how it intersects with politics and how things can change so dramatically.
Hmm.
We're talking about a guy who is like front and center, waving the Trump flag.
Oh yeah, poster boy.
Yeah, and now he's like one of Trump's biggest critics.
It's like a complete 180.
Total 180.
Yeah.
And the question is like, what happened there?
Yeah. What prompted that? Was it genuine?
Calculated.
Was it something else entirely?
And we've got some excerpts here, some pieces of writing that lay out the whole saga.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
Yeah, and see if we can make sense of it.
Okay, so the first thing to understand is that back in 2018, Avallone had this huge YouTube channel.
Right, like he was a star.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I mean, this was his platform. This is where he built his following.
And this was all like very much aligned with the Trump right-wing kind of sphere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he was producing content that was, pro-Trump.
Yeah, Magia hats, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole deal. And then something happened that kind of seemed to shake things up.
Okay, what was that?
YouTube briefly deleted his channel.
They what?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, right?
Like they just wiped him out? Well, not permanently. It was only down for like 7 hours or something.
7 hours.
Yeah, but you can imagine that's like an eternity in internet time.
Oh, totally. You build this whole thing and suddenly it's gone.
Poof.
That's got to mess with your head.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You're putting yourself out there. You're building an audience.
Yeah, making a living.
Exactly. And then, bam, it's all gone, even if it's temporary.
I mean, I would freak out.
Oh, absolutely. And it seems like Avallone kind of did too.
So that when things started to change?
Well, hard to say for sure, but it's definitely around that time that his rhetoric started to shift.
Okay, how so?
Well, he started to criticize Trump and his former supporters.
Okay, but people disagree with politicians all the time. That's not exactly unusual.
True, but this was different. This was like intensely personal.
Oh, okay, like how?
Like he was using words like misguided and crazy to describe them.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't just a policy disagreement. It was like a complete rejection of everything he had previously stood for.
Like he was breaking up with them?
Exactly, and that led to a lot of speculation about his motives.
Right, because people were like, wait a minute, is this guy for real, or is he just putting on a show?
Yeah, is this genuine outrage, or is this some kind of calculated move?
So what are the theories?
Well, there are two main ones that we're going to look at.
Okay, hit me with the first one.
All right, so some people think that Avallone was never really a true believer in Trumpism.
Like he was faking it all along.
Yeah, the theory is that he adopted that persona because it was popular.
Like it was good for his brand.
Exactly, and there's some evidence to support that, if you go back and look at some of his older videos and comments.
You could see some cracks in the facade.
Yeah, like maybe his views weren't always as rigidly right-wing as he made them seem.
So maybe he was playing the game.
That's one possibility.
Okay, that's interesting. What's the other theory?
The other theory is that Avallone's personal life had a big impact on his political views.
Okay, how so?
Well, he was going through a very public and messy divorce around the same time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's got to be rough.
Yeah, and the idea is that maybe that experience caused him to reevaluate everything.
Including his political beliefs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you go through major life changes, your whole perspective shifts.
You start to see things in a new light.
Right, and maybe that's what happened with Avallone.
So maybe the divorce was like a catalyst for his political transformation.
Possibly.
Wow. Okay, so we've got two very different theories here.
Yeah, and it's hard to say which one is closer to the truth.
I mean, we're not mind readers.
Exactly. But what we do know is that Avallone's shift had a huge impact on his audience.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Imagine your favorite band suddenly switches genres.
Oh, man. Some people would be ecstatic.
Right, but others would feel totally betrayed.
Like, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for.
Exactly, and that's kind of what happened with Avallone.
So how did people react?
Well, his new left-leaning audience embraced him.
They were like, welcome to the club.
Yeah, but a lot of his old fans felt abandoned.
Like he'd pulled a bait and switch.
Yeah, they felt like he'd been lying to them all along.
Which kind of brings us back to this whole question of authenticity online.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much of what we see is just a performance.
Right, and when someone's views change so dramatically, how do we know what's real and what's not?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to put on a persona online.
Absolutely, and it's even easier to change that persona.
Right, so how do we know if someone is being genuine or just playing to the algorithm?
It's a tough question, and there's no easy answer.
Yeah, and I think Avallone's story really highlights that complexity.
Definitely, it's a case study in online identity and the challenges of navigating personal and political change in a public space.
So let's recap what we've talked about today.
Okay.
We started with this guy, Hunter Avallone,
Yeah.
who went from being a huge Trump supporter
Mm-hmm.
to becoming one of his most vocal critics.
A complete 180.
Yeah. And we looked at some possible explanations for that shift.
Right. Maybe he was never a true believer.
Maybe his personal life had a big impact.
And we talked about the reactions from his audience. Some people loved it.
Some people hated it.
And it all raises these questions about authenticity and identity in the online world.
Yeah. So I want to leave you with a couple of questions to ponder.
Okay.
What do you think motivated Avallone's transformation?
Mm-hmm.
Was it genuine or strategic?
What makes you think that?
And here's a really interesting thought experiment.
Mm.
Imagine Avallone decides to run for office someday.
Okay.
Knowing what you now know about his past,
Mm-hmm.
would you trust him?
Wow.
I mean, it's a tough question, right?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
And that's kind of the point. This whole story is a reminder that the lines between our online and offline selves are getting blurrier every day.
Absolutely.
And it's more important than ever to be critical thinkers, to question what we see online, and to be mindful of the ways in which our digital lives can shape our real worldviews and actions.
Totally.
So keep that in mind as you continue to explore the ever-evolving landscape of online identity and political discourse.
Great advice.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you.